My motivation for undertaking this effort, this joint effort, was the conclusion I drew that finance is an applied science that had seen a lot of advances in the past few decades. And those advances were not all incorporated. Important advances were not incorporated in any of the existing textbooks. And when I communicated this to Bob Merton and to Richard Thacker, they agreed with me. It was wonderful, that feeling that they too shared a conviction that there needed to be a new textbook about the fundamentals of finance. And so what could be better? I mean, I learned finance from Bob Merton. And I think that's the case with Richard as well, although it was several decades later. And we shared the outlook and we shared the work. So the book is here.
Well, that's great, Sri. But my motivation, first, I should say, like you, my whole professional life, I've been a professor. And the role of professors is fundamentally knowledge creation with original research, of course, but also knowledge dissemination, which is teaching and textbooks. So that's what I've been doing all my life. Now, you mentioned finance as applied science. Finance is a science. Now, it hasn't always been a science. And finance has been around forever, so going back in before counted time. But it's a science that really happened about, I would say, starting in the 1950s, and by the end of the 1960s, it was a full-fledged science. And that, if you have any doubt about that, there are probably at least 8 Nobel Prizes in economic sciences for finance contributions. So, not that, okay. But I believe in that you should take advantage of the fact that it is a science and that it should be taught taking advantage of the structure, the organizational structure of science. Basically, there are core concepts, principles, and then you use those as a foundation for which you then go into all the aspects of that science. It's not because it's a science, it's not just a series of separated topics that you learn. You learn 10 topics to be in this field. It's all integrated. And that's a great advantage in teaching, I found, in both efficiency and ability to adapt to change. So science is based on principles and core concepts. And so a first course, an introduction to the subject, shouldn't be just, corporate finance, a topic, capital markets, a topic, financial institutions, a topic, all important. But the first course should be principles and core concepts that will be involved as the base for all those individual subjects and integrated. And so I think that, when you look around, I think you mentioned it a minute ago, that as far as I know, no textbook has been produced, introductory textbook, which does that. And so we have done that here, and the structure of the book reflects that. And I think that was the main motivation for me getting engaged in this at this point in my life.
Well, these are great points, and I think it echoes my own motivation for working on the project. I've always had a passion for teaching finance, and one thing I tell my students when I teach them is that finance is important because it's not just applicable for those that are working in the financial industry, but it's applicable for anything they may do, whether it's in the financial industry or another industry or the government. Finance applies to everything. And it also applies to individual decisions as well. And I think that's something that was really exciting to me about teaching finance. But what I found is that for students, learning finance is challenging. There are lots of institutional details. It's also a mixture of intuition and mathematics that just makes it challenging for students to penetrate into. And so when I got the opportunity to work with both of you, amazing co-authors, on this project, I was really excited because I think the approach that we decided to take was really powerful for giving students the tools to understand finance at an intuitive level and really penetrate through a lot of the challenges that at least I saw in my teaching they were experiencing with learning finance.